Oh, hey there, spook fans. You just caught me sassing my annual squatch. Oh yeah, I can't actually see. It's that time of year where I deliver Halloween hilarity to you through the medium of an extremely niche fandom video. And this year, we're taking a look at Kingdom Wingfinger. Throughout the franchise, there's a really steady, strong stream of Halloweeny robots to choose from when you're doing a video like this. Could have done Tarantulas, the man who is not a tarantula. Or like Wingthing, he's a bat the colour of pumpkins. It's like, it's Halloween, isn't it? But this year, no, we're looking at Wingfinger, because his bones, because skellimgtons, because he turns into a corpse. Oh, the spider's fallen off. Sit over there then, mate. This is one of them Transformers that we've had this year. There's a good handful of them. They turn into the corpses of long dead animals. I think that wins for Halloween 2021. Big fan of the fossilizers. Here is one that's just a stick. That was my first impression of this figure. I just thought, oh, it's just a stick, and it's just, it's just, look at that. Look at his arms are thicker than his torso. I was just thinking, oh well, I'll get him because I like the bone ones, and the whole mix and match play pattern is a lot of fun. But actually I got him and it's like, yeah, it's really good actually. You will notice his ninja stylings, at least from the fact that, I don't know, I find these stripy bits, stripy sleeves, kind of ninja themed. I don't know why. But like he's got like his face covered, and he's got these knives or stabbing weapons, and like some bits on his fist, so he can punch you and stab you at the same time. It's just sort of lithe and stealthy, even though it is, of course, the colour of Milky Bars. I fully understand if you're not on board with this thing's proportions, because, I mean, look at it, yeah. But I have to be, because this is how I look. So, yeah, the most bony of the bony lads you've got here. Very proud sort of pelvis. It's just spine. It's just spine that you can see from the front. That's not nice. His legs are really long, and they will do a lot of posing, because there's a couple of joints in there. And I mean, like the thighs and the upper arms here are kind of reused from Paleotrex, but they're actually completely different sculpting. So it's just sort of similar shapes. I don't know what's going on there. But he's got big feet with like claws on the back and pointy shoes, and they will move in a way I enjoy. It's a very posable robot. For just being a stick, you can get some really cool stuff going on with him, and his wrists will point the bladed weapons. Or you can swap the grip round and have him sort of, you know, slashing at you, backhand styly. Or, of course, just put both of them in one hand for a bit of a bow archery time theme going on. Of course, you've got to imagine that there's a string on there. But what I quite like is the idea that this old big beak on his back that you've got to try to ignore, just is like full of arrows. And, you know, Legolas time, just whoosh, whoosh, yeah. You can, of course, also just take that off. And like, the picture on the box basically has him holding it like that. And I don't really know what that's supposed to be. You know, it's got a pointy end. I'm sure, like, hitting someone with that would do some damage. But I couldn't tell you what that is meant to be in terms of a weapon. It's just a hitting stick, isn't it? But oh, isn't it frightful? He's bashing you with a skull, his own skull. Because did I mention he turns into a skeleton? If he wasn't already like a skeleton. I mean, this is pretty much a robot's skeleton already, isn't it, really? And how do we do that? Oh, it's very scary, because you have to dismember him. And lots of Transformers fans don't like this. They call it parts forming, and they argue that there should be a page about it on the wiki. And I don't really think that stands up to snuff, because it's just a fandom term that people use derisively when Transformers have to do this to try
transform. Ooh. So yes, you just break him down into this assortment of fun fossil bits that you might have found outside in the dust of the desert that have been there for millions of years, that are the remains of a dead creature. We don't talk about this. This is a dead thing. A robot has come along and gone beep boop zoo with the scanning thing and found a dead thing. A thing that was once alive and covered in flesh and skin with eyes and nostrils and a tongue and, quite importantly for this one, skin between its wings. And all that has rotten away and it's become covered in sediment over millions of years, and it's still there. Its bones are just lying there, and this bloke has come along and gone zap. Yeah, I'm going to turn into that. I'm going to turn into a dead thing. That's rad. I'm goth AF. Bish. I just don't think we talk about that concept enough. It's wild. Anyway, let's put together this is where I'm going to get it wrong. Pteranodon. It's not a pterosaur, is it? Those aren't real. Is that right? I don't know. All I know is, like you know, Tarantulas isn't a tarantula, pterosaur isn't a pterosaur, but Wingfinger here is indeed a pteranodon. I believe. I don't know. I saw Walking with Dinosaurs 20 years ago. I remember that bit. So, a few seconds as a 19th century paleontologist later, and you have assembled the bones into the likeness of a creature. Yeah, there he is. He's all pointy. He's actually quite big. It's a big wingspan, you know. The one thing I will say about this figure is the whole stick-thin proportions of it do mean that he's like really long and just big. Like he's taller than your average robot, and then you've got this Voyager sort of size beast going on here, really. But because there's no membranes between these wingy thingies, you know, they can get away with fitting him in as a lunchbox. Yes, I will address the elephant in the room instantaneously. How does he fly? How does he fly when there's nothing there to flap with, you know? Woo, woo, woo. No. Let's just put it down to space robot magic and leave it there and never talk about it again. One thing I suppose you can point out, if you aren't really a fan of the whole parts forming thing, he doesn't really have to break up into all those bits to transform. You don't actually have to take his arms apart. You don't have to take his legs off. You just swap around a few of the bits. It's not that intensive a sort of disassembly. He can open up his mouth. And what I don't like about that is that it clicks shut. You can't have it open any less than that. So he's doing a proper, like, pelican gannet, ooh, kind of face. He's very happy, you know. Good for you, mate. You know, you've been dead for millions of years, but you're having a good time, aren't you? But the best bit, I suppose, about this mode, apart from his comically tiny little legs down there, is how you can just sort of do the old configuration for land-based ambulatoriness. Yeah, you can do that. You can put his hands on the floor like you'd be, you know, awkwardly crawling around like we think they did. And you can come face to face with the horror of the passage of time as we gaze upon an animal the likes of which is no longer seen because they were wiped off the earth in an extinction level event, the likes of which we're probably overdue for. But whoa, that's not all he does, because sorry. Let's pull into bits again because there's more things that happen here. Because fossilizing, boy, that's the name of the game, where you just, you know, dress up with bones, man. So pull into bits again and bring in a deluxe figure of your choice. I really like Road Rage. I'm big fan of this toy. Oh, I'll tell you the thing I'm scared of right now is the amount of comments I'm going to get asking me what her legs are like. It's not for this video. It's time to bone up. Clearly there's a lot of things you could do with different combinations of these parts. I'm just going to show you the bits that the instructions do, or at least as I remember it, because I've only looked at them once. So you can make this kind of big pickaxe thing. Maybe get the legs all the wings put back together like this for a bit of bony demon wing jetpack deal. And then you've just got like his hands to stick somewhere. I have to say, like, in terms of this whole weapon thing, old Wingfinger here does seem to be a little bit of the weaker ones, you know. There's not as many things that you can turn his bones into in terms of an offensive loadout, but you can do some things with him. Now, why would this be slightly less worked into the whole deal of the figure than other ones? Oh, it's because he's got a combiner head. Ooh, so bring in the bones. It's time to combine. Let's create an abomination ungazed upon by the eyes of God. Now, this was a real selling point for this figure for me. Just as soon as in that live stream they showed off this extra, just a little bit. It's tiny. It's one paint application. It's hardly any detail, to be honest. But the fact that there is a face there that is supposed to come off, and you're supposed to make your own combiners with it, because there are no instructions for this. There's no official way of doing it. There's one way that they showed off that the guy made for that stream. But, you know, you're literally just supposed to just take that and take this, because it's made to go in Ractonite's mouth, and go wild. You know, Lego time. Just make what you like. You could even be as lazy as just taking off. Am I really doing this? Taking off Paleodrax's head, spice things up slightly, you know, turn that torso around. You could just do that. You could just stick it wholesale on another figure. There you go. Do you like my fossilizer combiner? I'm so clever. Oh my god. Yes, put this on the wiki. Of course, I didn't point out that Wingfinger is a Maximal, as you would have seen stamped on his forehead. And the other two regular bony guys are Predacons, so you've got to, you know, make up a little story or something about why there's some kind of interfaction combination going on here. Or just spend more money and get Transmutate and the see-through Ractonite Tricranius in that box full of blast effects. It's £42 that I'm not going to do. But here, in the overly warm autumn of 2021, we can enjoy the wonderful menagerie of completely accurately reassembled skeletons that I own here in my museum, that I have filled with fossils, that I have paid small Victorian children to gather for me, and have assembled with the finest of paleontological skill. Oh, science! Oh, sorry, looking at what I've done with Transmutate here has just reminded me of something that genuinely really freaked me out as a kid. I've got a dinosaur book. You've probably seen it on my shelf in other videos. There's a page in there that acts as if it's like a factual thing. There was a dinosaur that looked like a person, and it's like, there's a painting in there. It's like, it's full of like all these pictures of dinosaurs, like, you know, what they look like. And then you just turn one page and it's like a bloody alien. It's like this bloke, this green scaly bloke, and it's like, what? And you, for the merest second of total complete terror, you think that it's real because, well, this is a book about real dinosaurs, isn't it? And then you start reading it, it's like, oh, people in the Victorian times thought maybe this was a real thing, and that there was like a human precursor that was reptilian, and just because they put some bones together wrong. And God, it's just, I'm not even going to show you because I don't like it. I don't like it, mate. Anyway, skellimgtons and that. Kingdom Wingfinger, then. Is he frighteningly good? Yeah, he's all right. I think what I'm most scared about with the idea of him being like the last fossilizer in Kingdom is the idea that all of this is just going to stop. That's it. We've had it. You've had your fun of new Beast Warsy guys that feel like they would have been right at home in the 90s, and, you know, no more weaponizers, modulators, you know, all of that stuff. In fact, War for Cybertron gave us a new guy in nearly every wave that just had that whole new plate pattern thing going on with it as well. That was so good. I'm really going to miss that. And is not the lamentation of things passing away the height of horror?
Well, I hope you enjoyed that spine-tingling look at that lot of bones. That's yeah, it's bones. That's what's scary. Spooky skeletons. Look, I've drawn a skeleton's hand coming out of my cupboard. very scary. But look at the mask. Oh. What's that, Mr. Spider? You want the viewers to smash that like button like a pumpkin and maybe do the same to the subscribe one, akin to destroying a vegetable of your choice. When did you get so corporate?